So yeah, what do you remember about your first grade debut?
First grade debut was at a semi-pro level. Actually, I was 18 years of age, and I was playing at a club on the central coast of New South Wales called Sheffield Eagles, and I got called up to play first grade. I think I played a reserve grade game earlier, and they were short of someone on the bench, so I came up and I played a little bit there. And then I got my actual start the following week against Woi Woi, who were the top of the table at the time, and I scored 2 tries in that game. And yeah, you know what I mean. It was just a very memorable occasion, and that year actually we ended up going on to make the Central Coast Grand Final, which was we came from 5th place as well. So it was it was a good start to my career. You know, even at 18 to step up at that level. There were some pretty big names that played in that division at the time. People like Cliffy Lyons played at your minor, and Owen Cunningham and people like that. So there was quite a bit of NRL experience, older heads that were running around about that competition then. So it was certainly good grounding for me as a youngster, looking to progress in my career.
And the best coach you've had in your career?
That's a tough question. I mean, you could probably argue my under-10s coach when I first started, Gary Stigg, you know, for teaching me the basics and the fundamentals of the game. You know, I've got to give him a bit of credit there for starting me off. But I certainly think there's been a number of coaches I've played under where I think you learn bits and pieces of most coaches that you play under in different ways. But I think probably the coach that's had the biggest influence on my career was Terry Madison, who coached me at Castleford for a number of years. And I think I certainly saw the game in a different perspective under him, and I certainly felt I developed as a player, matured as a player under Terry. So I'd have to say he's probably been the biggest influence on my career.
The hardest opponent you've faced?
Hardest opponent, there's been a couple. There's plenty of tough competitors out there. I would personally say for me, Gareth Hock, when he was at Wigan, you know, I just found him. He was always an awkward bloke to tackle, you know, sort of rangy, gangly, but he ran real hard, ran with a lot of purpose, and he just seemed a real competitor, wanted to win, and he was a bit grubby as well at times. But yeah, I admired him as a player. He played tough and played hard, and you know what I mean. I think for me, he was my toughest competitor.
And the funniest teammate you've had?
Funniest teammate. Jeez, there's too many to think about, to be fair. There's plenty of guys. I think you know, I probably look at Sheffield. Scotty Turner's quite a larrikin in the Sheffield club, in the change rooms there. And if I look back at Gateshead, there was Jason Payne up there. I think he's the current captain of the club now. He was a bit of a larrikin, a bit loose, and even in my cast days, there was some funny guys there. Luke Dyer was quite a character, and even Danny Brough, you know, he gets me laughing a lot. You know, some of the stuff he comes out with. There's plenty of characters that I've been fortunate enough to play with over the years. And
can you tell me about your debut for Scotland in 2003? What do you remember that game?
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a shock call-up, really. I was playing with Barrow at the time in the championships, and I mean, I didn't expect to get a call-up to the national side, and I got a phone call out of the blue, and they were looking for a halfback. I was playing halfback at the time, and you know, I think whoever the original halfback they'd selected had pulled out or something, and they kind of called me in, and mate, I was a bit sort of starstruck, I guess. There was quite a lot of Super League players that were playing in that competition at that time, so I didn't feel out of my depth, but I certainly felt a little bit like, you know, I was in the next level, or so to speak. And but I seemed to fit in and handled it pretty well. The camp that we were in, and we played Ireland at Glasgow, and I was fortunate enough to get man of the match in that game in my debut, and we got beaten in the last minute at 24-22. Ireland scored in the last minute to snatch victory away from us. But no, it was certainly a memorable occasion for me. I'm very proud to represent Scotland, who would be my adopted nation, you know, because of my father Martin, who was born in Glasgow, and I was just very fortunate to get the opportunity to play at that kind of level. So for me, it was a fantastic day, and even all my dad's family were there at the game too to watch it, which made it even sweeter. So yeah.
The highlights of your career, you know, in Australia and the UK, and you know, in international footy as well.
Yeah, highlights. Well, to be fair, I've spent the majority of my career in the UK. I've been over here 14 years, so you know, certainly the highlights in Australia would have been at the start of my career, making a Central Coast Grand Final with Erina, and then obviously getting the opportunity to play with the prestigious Balmain club as well for a short period, for a year. But like I said, most of my stuff has been based in the UK. So for me, certainly captaining Castleford Tigers to promotion to the Super League on a couple of occasions were highlights for me. my Super League debut as well. And then I look at internationally, definitely the most recent one would be the World Cup quarter-final against New Zealand, against the former world champions at Headingley. Was a memorable occasion for me. So yeah, I've been pretty privileged here that I've been able to experience some of the highs and some of the lows in my career, and I'm just hoping now that in the coaching world we'll experience a few more highs.
And any regrets in your career?
Any regrets? I wouldn't say I've got any real regrets. I'd probably say maybe some of the you reflect maybe on some of the decisions I might have made in regards to. But then again, you're not to know at the time. I mean, there was probably a period in my career just when I left Castleford. I finished up with Castleford in the Super League at the end of 2008, and I was offered another year to stay there. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough money to support myself and my family. And I took a full-time deal at Gateshead, who were in the Championship at the time, and I moved all the family up to the northeast. And unfortunately, after 10 months, the club went bust. So that put me under a little bit of financial pressure and put us in a pretty ordinary position. But then I was, in some ways, fortunate to secure a deal back at Barrow, where I started early in my career in the UK. And but that didn't work out great either, because after 6 months there, the chairman wanted me to reduce my contract and stop paying me for 3 months. So there was certainly, I'd say, that kind of period there, 2-year period was, or 18-month period was quite troublesome, certainly off the field financially, and made it tougher for me and the family, certainly with the amount of moving as well that we had to do. But I was fortunate, I suppose, I got through it in the end and secured a deal with Sheffield, where I spent the last 4 seasons before retiring. So it all worked out in the end. But yeah, that was probably, I would say, a regret, but certainly a tough period for me in my career.
Andrew, thanks for your time.
Thanks, John.